Episode 271, The Wheel of the Year. This is the Change Underground, and I'm your host, John Moore. Decarbonise the air, recarbonise the soil. A moment to pause just for a minute as the Wheel of the Year continues to turn. Last Monday, my weather app reported that the sunrise would be at 6:10 and sunset at 18:10. 12 hours of daylight following the 12 hours of the night before. The equinox was upon us. Harvest in the northern hemisphere and thoughts of planting in the southern. Those to the north of us in Australia have been planting for some time, unless of course they live in the ranges or here in Van Diemen's Land. The soil is yet to fully warm up for that sort of thing, but is definitely on the mind. So too is the ripening of the winter cereals. We've had a relatively mild winter for the district, still cold enough, often enough, but the Bureau reported above average temperatures for both day and night, with the same forecast for the coming spring. That combined with an about average rainfall could have us a little bit on the dry side come summer, the higher temperatures leading to higher evaporation. Keeping the soil covered is, as ever, critical, only perhaps a little bit more so for this season. The barley I planted in May is very stunted, maybe 10 centimetres out of the ground, and well poor. It is, though, covering the soil, slowing the rainfall down and keeping the life underground protected. When things are warmer, I'll oversow it with buckwheat and slash the barley remains with the sickle bar mower. This device is basically a set of reciprocating teeth that cuts vegetation off it at the height I set it at. The material then falls in a chaotic matter across the land. This is Fukuoka's suggested arrangement. The wheat, like the barley, was sown in May from seed sold as feed. I needed to get something in, and that's what I had on hand. Remarkably, to me anyway, the wheat is doing really well. It's on lighter soil, so maybe that helped. I'm not sure, and I'm learning as I go. We will get a harvest from the wheat. The patch is about 50 by 4 metres, so 200 square metres. I have a Korean sickle for harvest, a threshing area in the shed and feed bags for grain storage, and finally an electric mill for making wholemeal flour. And I am, without counting unhatched chickens, looking forward to making bread from our soil. Again, I'll oversow with buckwheat if the timing works. If not, then I'll try to source some grain sorghum, probably from the health food shop, but it will be organic and relatively fresh. The oats I planted were from a seed selected for feed production, not grain, and they are producing grain but not much. So I'm looking at the oats as a straight-out green manure crop, oversowing and slashing. The amount of organic matter really is impressive, and I'm thinking of using the same variety on a patch at work that's just screaming out for more organic matter. The fourth test patch was the spelt. This I sourced from a health food shop in town. It is a truly exciting prospect, 60 to 80 centimetres tall, suffering from a slight nitrogen shortage, but growing well and producing seed heads. Spelt is related to wheat, but has a different gluten profile. It also has 6 chromosomes, and modern wheat has 24. It's also the prima donna of flours. Very delicate, very water absorbent. It requires different techniques to be made into bread. Mixing in wheat flour is the solution, but I'm going for the 100% spelt bread because I'm a contrarian like that. Several experimental loaves have revealed, as has a close study of techniques on YouTube with the sound off, that the no-knead method seems to be the way to go. So instead of pulling the dough in a stretching manner and folding it in upon itself as I do with wheat no-knead loaves, the trick seems to be to use a scraper to form the dough into a ball, pushing it in at the base of the dough all the way around the edge a few times, and the same effect is achieved as the stretching in the no-knead wheat bread. When stretched like a wheat loaf, the results are very flat, as in not risen as much as I'd like. I'll put some pics on the transcript post for this episode so that you can see the differences between the wheat and the spelt. The spelt loaves cook off to a rich, light golden colour, which pleases me no end. The fifth patch I've grown over winter is about 10 by 12 metres, and I've got the poultry ducks and chooks scratching and pooping all over that in preparation for a flower maize to be planted in November, soil temperature allowing. I'll be growing a Hopi blue corn variety which matures into a damp, cool autumn, which is lucky because that's pretty much every autumn in these parts. From that patch, I'll be able to extend the area under corn during the summer of 2022-23 to about 3/4 of an acre. Corn raises questions for me as to how it will fit into a Fukuoka system, but no problem is unsolvable. Stand by for updates as I think it through. Or better yet, if anyone listening has a suggestion on how to deal with stover as opposed to straw in a Fukuoka system, I'd love to hear from you. Equally, if you're thinking about or ready to leap into the growing your own food, go to the website worldorganicnews.com/free ebook and you can obtain a copy of the Change Underground No Dig Gardening System book. Any other questions, thoughts or suggestions? There's the Change Underground podcast page group on Facebook. You can search on Facebook or there's a link in the show notes. In the transcript over at worldorganicnews.com/episode 270. Decarbonise the air, recarbonise the soil. Thank you all for listening. I'll be back next week.